Welcome back to Watch the Booker Man and to what is, I suppose, a bonus episode of this series. There's no TNA show being run, so I didn't want to put this video in the chronology of the normal series. With that said, I will be running a show on this episode. I'm sure the thumbnail again has given that away. Anybody who saw the last episode, they know what this is all about. But as you can see, if you didn't, we are in the process of buying out Ring of Honor. It's December 2010, and at this time in reality, Ring of Honor was actually up for sale. Eventually, they did get sold in May 2011 with Sinclair buying them, but Kerry Silkin said that Jeff Jarrett once approached him about buying Ring of Honor, whether that was to do his own thing or related to TNA having interest in the company. I've also heard that CM Punk gave him a text saying that he was interested, so the idea that Ring of Honor could have been sold to somebody other than Sinclair isn't completely unbelievable. And then when you throw, of course, that this is Paul Heyman's TNA into the mix, and ROH by some being seen as the evolution of ECW and where it would have gone. Heyman himself has spoke about guys like Low-Ki, Daniels, Punk, Joe potentially being the next batch of homegrown guys that ECW would have built around if they stuck around. That's a great what if scenario in itself. And the other link is Gabe Sapolsky, who was running Evolve Wrestling at this time, but they were only doing sporadic shows. He's my second user character in the save, and as we complete the takeover, this is where that second user does come into play. And with TNA Evolve coming in January 2011, that might have given a hint. Hopefully this isn't something that disappoints people either, but Gabe Sapolsky is closing down Evolve Wrestling, and we then head back to Player 1 with Paul Heyman going into his child company. Delirious is the current booker, but he is going to offer that position to Gabe Sapolsky, the former booker of Ring of Honor. He gained a lot of plaudits for the job he did with Ring of Honor. Eventually in 2008, I've heard Kerry Silkin speak about how he just felt that the company needed something different, but we're kind of merging Evolve and Ring of Honor. With us buying out Ring of Honor, Evolve doesn't really serve the same purpose that I think it was going to, and I feel that Paul's right-hand man would have jumped at the chance to return to the company that he helped build from the ground up. I'm pretty sure Gabe was there from day one, and the offer is of course accepted. And perhaps most interestingly, Final Battle 2010 is tomorrow night, and that's what the second part of this video will be. I've looked at what happened in reality to try and build a show around that, but with the financial troubles, Ring of Honor released a lot of people, so it's a bit of a skeleton crew. So I'm going to try and build a good card out of that, and there's a couple of matches on there that I think are going to be really good. To be fair to Ring of Honor, I've also nicked quite a few people with TNA, but here we go into Final Battle 2010, the perfect way to bookend this pre-TNA owned Ring of Honor. Of course, the news will have been coming out throughout the day in the build-up to Final Battle that a deal has been closed with TNA, so the buzz around Ring of Honor will be pretty high, I think, with people wondering what may happen at this Final Battle show. Again, I don't want to give anything away about what my plans are for ROH's relationship with TNA, but let's get into Final Battle 2010. And initially coming into this show, I kind of wanted to do it as similarly as possible as I could to the real world Final Battle 2010. However, when it came to actually putting the show together, I hadn't quite realised how many people had left the company, partly my own fault because I'd signed them away with TNA, but also due to the financial troubles, they had released some pretty high profile names who you will notice are absent from the show. That is something that I'll look to rectify now Ring of Honor is under TNA control. But we begin with a World Tag Team Championship match, ANX defeating Cheech and Cloudy and Adam Pearce and Joey Ryan. These are three of the only recognised teams on the roster. Of the options, the All Night Express felt like the best ones to carry the tag team titles into this new era. I didn't want Adam Pearce and Joey Ryan as the champions anymore, so ANX I feel are a good choice, and with this being about the future of Ring of Honor, those are two of the fastest rising stars in the company, and that's the justification for putting the World Tag Team titles on them. Originally, I wanted either the Briscoes or the American Wolves to have the titles, but Jay Briscoe surprisingly has been released, as has Eddie Edwards, so we couldn't do that, and as I said, ANX were the best option on the roster. Colt Cabana then defeated Jack Evans in a good match before we go into a Women of Honor match. I don't know if it was called Women of Honor back then, but Angel Orsini and Sarah Del Rey defeat Alaire Littlefeather and Daisy Hayes. Sarah Del Rey was always going to pick up the victory with her being such an integral part of TNA. She's one of a few people who we share. Mischief also, who wasn't booked tonight, as well as there's a couple of others who are on both rosters. The next match is two halves of those teams. Davey Richards from the American Wolves defeating the Briscoes, Mark Briscoe. A good match, but I'm noticing those notes of it being too short for an important match, so something to keep in mind for the future Ring of Honor shows. But also Davey Richards with an 82. Definitely taking note of that as well. Kenny Omega, who of course wasn't really with Ring of Honor around this time. I think it may have actually been Final Battle 2010 that was a show that he missed, and that's where his heat with Jim Cornette began. So in this reality, he has been in a match and defeats Rocky Romero in 1344. Two okay performances. It's always good to keep note of these things, because not only will we be running Ring of Honor shows in future, but also the fact that potentially these are the guys who are going to be the next generation of TNA stars that Paul Heyman will bring through. We had an 8-man tag there that I just clicked straight through. Sure, you will have seen on screen who won that. We then have the World Heavyweight Championship match. There was something in the lineage that I noticed with Ring of Honor that meant that Austin Aries' most recent World Heavyweight Championship reign had been duplicated. He's held the title throughout the year, but I think the mistake was that Jerry Lynn's run had been missed out and Austin Aries had been put in again. So I've switched the title to Jerry Lynn before this show, just to change it back to Austin Aries. I wanted to have all the previous Ring of Honor champions in that lineage as we go into the new era. As I've mentioned, Austin Aries becomes the first ever 3-time World Heavyweight Champion of ROH. I think he's the only person to have won it more than once. The reason for this is I think he's probably the most well-rounded member of the roster. His 69 isn't as good as Davey Richards' 82 from earlier, but in terms of microphone skills, the way he carries himself, and the fact that he definitely had the potential to become a star in TNA, because we saw in reality that he started with that X Division Championship, went all the way up to the top of the card, and for me, in 2011, around the time of the Summer of Punk, Austin Aries over in TNA was doing just as good things, so we want to see that in the future. He definitely has that star quality. With a lot of the Ring of Honor guys moving on, like Tyler Black, Roderick Strong, and the Kings of Wrestling, he feels like somebody who has a strong connection to the old guard of Ring of Honor, and while he did leave the company around this time, in reality, maybe in this timeline, they would have been a bit more hesitant to let him go, given the talent around them that had left. The road agents of Ring of Honor are very, very poor. We then get a video package for the main event. This is the only match that is exactly the same as it was in reality, with them both being on the roster. We had to do this. The fight without honor between these two men, looking back at their very, very long, very personal history, and this match feels like the perfect way to close a chapter on Ring of Honor. If this is the last Ring of Honor show, which is the murmur within the fans, the idea being here that it's a very uncertain time for Ring of Honor. They don't know if TNA is just going to shut Ring of Honor down. I've not given away the future plans just yet, but it's not going to be as simple as me just discarding of Ring of Honor, because there is so much history with the titles, with the wrestlers, even with the events that they have, that you've got to at least do something with Ring of Honor. And it is Mask versus Career, and El Generico defeats Kevin Steen in a fight without honor. It's not a good match, but I'm not really that bothered about the rating of this show. I just wanted to have this as the final match in Ring of Honor history, as it was the final match at Final Battle 2010 in real life. Not that it means much at this point, but Kevin Steen is gone from Ring of Honor. El Generico keeps his mask and celebrates. He is the final man we see, the last image of Final Battle 2010, end of an era for the company. It's not a very good show, if truth be told, but it is an important landmark in the history of Ring of Honor. I will be going more in depth in the future, but I do want to reorganise and reshape things with all them releases. The roster's a mess, everything in the company's a bit of a mess, so I want to try and sort that out before I go into the future of Ring of Honor. Plus, with a plan that I currently have, there will be a much better time and place for a special bonus episode. There won't be too long to wait for that. I think this really will add a new dynamic to the save that's going to be really beneficial for both promotions. Ring of Honor fans will not want to see them as just a mere development for TNA, and hopefully working together we can build an even stronger alternative. I will say before I go that ROH is going on a little bit of a hiatus from this point, but I am currently planning for the return of Ring of Honor to be the 9th anniversary show in February 2011. I feel like that will give us enough time to sort everything out, and then Ring of Honor can come back with a bang. Thank you for watching. I think this is a really exciting time in the save, and the next 6 months, actually the next 12 months, because I've got plans all the way until Final Resolution 2011. Hopefully everybody joins me for that. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll be back soon.